Hey everybody, welcome to Dissect a Song, as usual, third Saturday of the month. And of course, I really want to just emphasize that through the song that I chose this month, which is Balance Ton Quoi by Angèle. I love Angèle. I love her music because she's very much, even though like she has this like, this, she gives you this impression that she's like this, like, oh, she's this cute little blonde, but it's like she really has her music really has a very strong sense of like things that she really cares about, because I know that I follow her on Instagram. She really is an advocate for feminism and an advocate for LGBTQ plus LGBTQ AI. They keep changing the letters, and so I'm trying to keep up, guys. I'm trying. But yeah, she's a very big advocate for that. And basically I wanted to choose this song because it came out I want to say a few years back. It came out along with the hashtag Balance Ton Quoi, which is basically a hashtag that corresponded with the Me Too movement, but in France. And from my interpretation, it's like a way of saying, like, keep it in your pants, because it literally, to me, like, if you take it at face value, it literally looks like balance your pork. Like, that's literally what it like translates to, but I just know that the context behind it is completely different. So that's another lesson, you guys. Don't just as a lesson, don't take anything at face value in any language. I mean, there's some things that translate literally, but then you have to realize that you have to really be aware of the context in order to know what someone is really trying to say. Because sometimes things just don't make sense literally, and then idiomatically it makes sense. So yeah, so we're gonna get started with that, and I am very, very excited. So okay, so the first verse starts with il parle tout comme des animaux. They speak all, like, they all speak like animals. De toutes les chats ça parle mal. Okay, of all the, okay, so chat, okay, so the word le chat is the masculine form. It means like literally a cat, but la chatte, like the feminine form, like where like there's an extra T in there and an E in there, that actually means like in a way like a female cat, but it's also like you can also like think of it as like a derogatory term that we use in English when we're referring to women, or at least women's body parts. So yeah, so think about it. It's like all of the cats that speak bad. Like mal means bad. Like it's like you use it like as like an adverb, like badly. We have mauvais, which is an adjective that means bad, but then or mauvaise for feminine nouns or subjects. And then you have mal, and mal means badly. Like you use it like how, like how adverbs are used to describe verbs. So you're doing, like, you're speaking badly about cats. We'll leave it at that. 2018, je sais pas que ce qui te faut. Okay, so 2018, so that's the date, which I believe is like when this came out. 2017, 2018. But the thing is, in French, they don't do the whole 2018. They don't say 2018. They would just say 2018, 2018. I know that it is ce qui is like a relative pronoun. Like if you're just talking about, you're talking about another way of reiterating something you were already talking about, but without naming it again. So 2018, I know that this is that it must be done to you. So it's like because this is written as it's spoken, as I usually talk about, letters get dropped off based on the speed in which the person is talking. We do it all the time in English. I'm sure they do it all the time in other languages too. But yeah, so faut, like that can also like il faut, like it must be done. But it's like te faut, so it's like something that must be done to you. Like, this is 2018. I know that like this is something that like needs to be done. Like you need to. I'm like, this song is basically gonna educate. So it's like basically like it must be done. Mais je suis plus qu'un animal. Mais je suis plus qu'un animal. Okay, but I am more than an animal. And then also you can say with qu'un, plus qu'un animal, is that sometimes when the last letter of a word ends with a vowel, and then the first letter of the next word begins with a vowel, the last letter that is a vowel is dropped off, and then it's an apostrophe. Because it would be just weird to be like qu'un when you can just say, like, it just is smoother to say qu'un, qu'un animal, rather than saying qu'un animal, you know, an animal. I keep saying animal, but animal is like the plural. It's like animals, plural. Animal. J'ai vu que le rap est à la mode. I see, like, this is past tense because in French we use avoir when we're talking about the verb to have, when we're talking about passé composé. Passé composé, as I've talked about before, means that, like, something happens, like, in the past. Like, it happened one time in the past. It's like I saw that rap is à la mode. À la mode is like is a way of saying in style. So it's like if you wanted to say, like, oh Jazz, like, your ton pull est à la mode. Your sweater is in style. À la mode. So it's in style. So it's like rap is like a trend. But trend is like le tendance, like tendencies, like, which is a cognate of the word tendencies, and tendencies is another word of saying trends, like something that happens that's repeated, like, currently. So I saw that rap is in style. Et qu'il marche mieux quand il est sale. And it says, and it works. Okay, so marche literally means to walk, but marche can also be used to say work. Like, if you're gonna, like, there's a song in there's a French musical called Le Roi Soleil, and so this song is called Ça marche, which means that works, and it's a song that basically talks about, like, the social hierarchy, but you know, but basically ça marche means like that works, like it works. Ça marche, you know, you could say that. Like if someone says, like, it's like, oh, je veux aller, on veut aller à la piscine. Quel jour? Je pense samedi. Oh, ça marche. Like, that works. So yeah, so like that's a way of saying, you know, like, okay, like I'm agreeing. Okay, that works for me. But basically it's saying, and that it works better. Mieux means better. Quand il est sale, and it works better when it is dirty. So it's kind of like, you know, like she's like, I've seen that rap is in style, but it's like even more in style when it's like dirty, like when they've got like all these like explicit stuff, you know what I'm saying? And then she says, bah faudra peut-être casser le code. Bah is kind of like a like, it's like a, I wouldn't say it's just a French thing, because I know that there are some other languages that might use that, but you know, like it's like, you know, how like if you guys have heard of like Gabriel Iglesias, like in his comedy segments, how he talks about like that, like he says that, like, oh, when Mexicans like disapprove of something, we just have like this way of saying like the kind of, that kind of contradicts or overrides what you just said. So it's like, oh, it's like rap, I saw rap is in style and it's even better when it's dirtier, and she's like, bah, like, bah, no, like, nah, I don't agree. Faudrait, so the subject of this has been left out. So usually it would be like il faudrait, but they just took that out. Again, sometimes like when you speak like sometimes words don't usually get dropped off, but like letters can sometimes get dropped off, but this case subjects can get dropped off because we really know what they're talking about. She's talking about rap, so it's like there's no reason to put il faudrait. Or maybe she says it really fast and they just don't catch it, so they probably didn't put it in the lyrics. But yeah, typically like you would be il faudrait, but again with the speed and things, and this being written as it's spoken. So bah faudrait peut-être, peut-être, which means maybe. Casser means to break the codes. les codes. So les codes is plural, so it's codes. So it's like nah. It could have maybe broken it could have maybe breaking the code, something like that. Again, like sometimes this is complicated because it's like faudrait, like the way it's written right here is actually, I believe, conditional. So it's like saying like, and you know how conditional means like, it's like depends on such and such. So conditional conjugation is going to be a little bit different. You can tell that because it's an AIT at the end, versus if it was future tense, then the I and the T would be just dropped off. And so it means it means it will be done. Versus this context means like it could be done, maybe to break the code. Une fille qui l'œuvre, ça serait normal. A girl who opens that can be normal. So it's like it's kind of sounds weird, but it's like a girl that opens it. Like as we're going back to the fact that like talking about the way that rap is, if it's dirty, it's better. And then she says like based on how they speak about cats, is that like a woman that opens it, that would be normal. Like it's saying like what she's saying here is that it's normal, like a woman who opens up or is very like easy, so to say, and that would be normal. And then she goes into the hook where she says balance ton quoi, which means balance your what, or like where I was talking about balance ton porc. It's kind of like quoi, like it's a question. To me it sounds like it's a question, like balance ton quoi, like balance your what, keep it in your what. And then it says même si tu parles mal des filles, je sais qu'au fond t'as compris. It says even if you speak badly of women, I know that deeply you have understood. So it's basically she's calling you out. She's calling these out. They're like, that like it's like even though you speak badly about women in this context, like kind of like locker room banter, or like how women are presented in like rap, to a certain extent. It's like even though you speak badly about women, that you understand what you're saying, so to say. Balance ton quoi, un jour peut-être ça changera. So balance your what? A day maybe that will change. So this is future conjugation. When you look at changera, is like when I first started learning future tense, like a long time ago, when I first started learning future tenses in school, is that I always noticed a pattern that when you use future tense, it's like because changer is to change. But I noticed that like when you're using future tense, you don't change the conjugation at all. Like how like you take off words or you take off the ending and you add the corresponding ending. But with future tense, you don't change the original verb at all. Any letters about it, you just add the ending to the end. So it's like changera, like you see the R in there. Changera, because if it was saying like if you wanted to say like je change, like you would take off the R. And then that would be corresponding with je, which means I, like I change. Je m'échange, like je m'échange, like I change. No. Je m'échangeais, I changed myself, or something like that. So that makes sense. So basically, it's saying un jour peut-être ça changera. So in a way, it's like one day that will change. One day maybe that will change. Balance ton quoi. And she goes into the second part of the hook that says donc laisse-moi te chanter. Donc laisse-moi te chanter. Okay, yeah. So donc is actually a word that can mean like so. You know how in English we'll be like, so let me sing to you. That's basically what she's saying. So let me sing to you. D'aller, de faire, so it's like d'aller, like of to going to make you. So it's like of going to make, because faire means like to make or to do. So it's like to go and make or do you, like I don't really necessarily know how to explain this. This is really complicated to explain. Donc laisse-moi de chanter, d'aller de faire. Like it's like to go and make. Okay, so faire. Yeah, this is really interesting. I think what I'm thinking is like in the context of this like 4-part like verse or snippet here. It's like I'm gonna let me sing to you about going and doing, like she uses the in the song it's like d'aller de faire, like it's like I'm not gonna say what that word is because we kind of already know what we're talking about. It's like let me sing to you about going to do or to make. We all know what we're talking about here, okay? It's kind of like a euphemism. Okay, où je passerai pas à la radio is way, which we talked about in previous ones. Sorry, my computer just keeps turning off. So, or at least like going into power saving mode. I usually keep it on for my notes, from other notes. But way, which we talked about before, way means yeah. It's a lazy way of saying oui. For those of you who don't know that. But yeah, je passerai pas à la radio. So remember what I talked about with future tense? Passer is just like, you know, that's just how it's spelled. But then like when you say passerai, that's the je conjugation. That's conjugating for me. So it's like, oui, like yes, I will not pass by, like I will passer can also mean like to spend time. So like if you're saying like je passais beaucoup de temps à la plage, I spend a lot of time at the beach. So it's like saying like I pass time, like je passerai pas, like I don't. Remember with negatives, you know, usually when you want to make something negative, you would put a ne and a pas around it, kind of like parentheses. But when you're speaking, you're allowed to drop off either one. So if you say je ne passerai, people will still understand what you're saying, but it's common to be like je passerai pas, because pas is like, pas like by itself means not. So it's like if, you know, someone says like, you know that song qui a volé les biscuits, qui a volé les biscuits dans la boîte à biscuits. It's like, c'était toi? Non, pas moi. Like, not me. So that's usually easier to kind of use. So it's saying like I will not spend time at the radio, like à la radio, like kind of like listening, you know, like when you're at the radio, like literally listening. So it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna pass time, and I'm not gonna spend time, you know, on the radio. Parce que mes mots sont pas très beaux. Okay. Okay, so I'm thinking like in that context, it's like, yeah, I'm not like this, I'm gonna sing to you about, you know, and you know, and it says, yes, I will not spend a lot of time on like on the radio or at the radio, because my words are not very beautiful, because it's like I'm not talking about something nice. And again, Angèle is very good at calling, in this song is very good at calling people out. So it's kind of like saying like, it's like I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the radio because I'm not speaking about things that people think are, this is not a pretty topic because I'm calling you out, versus the other songs are kind of like, they're like happy, you know, go lucky, or like very like I was saying, is like what she was saying in the first verse, is that rap is very popular, it's a trend, and it's more popular when it's like when they're speaking badly about people. But she's like, I'm actually like, I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on the radio because I'm talking about something that like I'm calling you out on your BS, you know, if that makes sense. Okay, and then the second verse starts off with les gens me disent à demi-mot. The people, or like people they tell me in half words. Demi-mot, demi means half, you know, like when you say like demi, I don't know, like there's some words in like English where we talk about like demi like things. Like I think if there's like a ballet term for something like that, like demi-plié, I think, or something like that. It's been a while since I've danced, you know, but I remember these terms. So half word, you talk to me. These people say to me at half words. Pour une fille belle, t'es pas si bête. For a beautiful girl is not silly, is not so silly. Si means so. Is not so silly. Pour une fille drôle, t'es pas si laide. For a funny girl is not so ugly. Tes parents et ton frère s'aident. Your parents and your brother have helped you. Like, it's kind of like, because if you watch the music video, like, if you're a person that doesn't fully understand French, it will make so much more sense to you to watch the music video. I have that linked in the description. But, you know, when you watch the music video, it'll give you it'll show visually, you know, even if you don't understand what she's saying, you can still visually see what she's saying. But she talks about how, like, your parents and your brother, they're basically helping you, you know, like, kind of like, you know, if you're worried about, like, your look, it's like, well, it's like, oh, like, you know, like what she was saying here is, a pretty girl is not so silly, you know, like telling you how to be a certain way. For une fille drôle, c'est pas si laide, like, because a funny girl is not so ugly, you know. It's like kind of like a kind of cultural norms about, you know, how people are supposed to be in order to be more attractive, or to or you know, something along those lines. It's like your parents and your brother. So it's kind of like, think about your brother. Like, for example, why would, as a woman, why would your brother be helping you, you know, with, you know, like with your appearance or your personality? Because your brother is a male who can tell you, hey, this is what men like. And so that, you know, that factors into, and I think, like, you know, with the parent aspect of it is like, you know, if your parents are married, it's like, well, hey, like, I attracted your what, you know, I attracted your mother, so, like, you know, like, this is, I know, like, when I'm, you know, or something like that, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, your parents or even your brother kind of giving you these types of, you know, help, like Saed, that help, you know, they help with, you know, how you present yourself in order to be more attractive, or to, I don't know, just something along the lines of, like, superficiality, you know, appearance and personality. It says, tu parles de moi? It says, oh, you're speaking of me. So the other thing is, de means of or from. So anytime you're using the word like de moi, like tu parles de moi, it means you're speaking of me, like you're speaking about me. Whereas if you say, like, tu parles à moi, à means to, so it means tu parles à moi would mean, like, you're speaking to me. But then she said tu parles de moi, so it's saying you're speaking of me. C'est quoi ton question? It is what your question. Okay, so the other thing is that in French is sometimes, like, you know, we don't have the whole thing about, like, in English, you know how we say do in front of questions, like, do you want to do this? Do you have, you know, does this, you know, whatever the question is. They don't do that. It's just they can ask statements as questions, or sometimes they can take the verb and the subject and the verb and switch it. So in this case, it is what your question, like your question is what. J'ai écrit rien que pour toi le plus beau des poèmes. It says, I've written, remember what I was talking about, passé composé. So she's done this one time in the past. She wrote nothing that for you. Yeah. I wrote nothing that for you, the le plus beau means, like, the most beautiful, like the beautifulest of poems. I have written nothing for you but the, you know, it's kind of like I've written nothing but the, you know, the most beautiful of poems for you, you know. And so there's a part in the music video where she's like, you know, when this line comes up, is she has this, like, whole book that she opens, and it's a basically animation of, like, a poem that she supposedly wrote. So think of it that way. But again, I said, after this, if you haven't seen it already, I really hope that you see the music video, because it's really, I love it. You know, I love it. It's so hilarious though, because, like, Angèle has this very, like, funny, like, kind of weird and crazy kind of vibe, but, like, it's like it's the best. You know, so again, I really recommend that you check out that music video. Okay, and then of course here it goes in again. It says laisse-moi te chanter, let me sing to you, d'aller de faire and then it says oui, je serai poli pour la télé. So this is the only thing that's different with that this hook. It says oui, just okay, yeah, this is a little tricky because like some letters are dropped off as usual, because I know that just I think it's just serai, I think it basically is like, because I know for ra, I know that means ira, like I'm going to like just I really don't understand, really don't know how to really break this up, but I just know, like, in my mind, I know that when I'm translating this, I can read it as saying I'm not going, like, it's basically being like, I'm gonna be polite. Like ira is like the future tense of aller. Aller is a very irregular verb when it comes to, well, just in general, but in future tense, like the word aller becomes ira, like irait, ira, ira, iront, irait, and then yeah, so basically it just completely just changes like letters. So basically she's like yeah, like, yeah, I'm going to be polite for the TV. You know, think about it this way. She's like, it's basically, this is an issue, women want to be treated with respect. I'm going to be polite for the fact that this is on TV, but yeah, I'm upset about how me as a woman being treated in society, but I'm going to be polite, polite. And notice that this is feminine because there's an E at the end of poli. If you're talking about a male, or if you're talking about like a masculine object or something that is polite, then it would be poli without the E, but then it's poli with the E. So, and obviously the person writing this is a woman. So, yeah. So I'm going to be polite for the TV, mais va te faire en. Okay, so it means but go make you, so go so this is also, there's reflexive verbs, so like, which is kind of confusing for English speakers because it's like te faire, because te is the indirect object, they're talking about you, but like the indirect pronoun, and then faire is the verb. So it's like anytime you have like me faire means like something you do to yourself, te faire means something that you do to you, and then like se faire means something that somebody does to themselves. So reflexive, like something that a person does to themselves. So basically she's saying, but go. Okay, so there's a and then she says again. So basically what I think she's trying to do is like, mais va te faire en foudre, I think, because like sometimes there's an expression that says va faire de foudre, which basically means like go F yourself. So it's basically she says I'm going to be polite for the TV, but you need but you know, like, but F you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to be clean because if like people, I don't want like to get like complaints from like, you know, people finding this video and then like they're find out, I don't know how old you people are, so it's like I don't want people being like, you know, my kid found your video and you were talking about, you know, so, or something like that. So I'm trying to keep it clean. I'm gonna give you, for those of you who know what I'm talking about, I'm giving you this kind of, you know, I'm gonna give you, you know, what I'm giving you hints. I'm hoping you catch my drift, but again, I try to keep my my dialogue, or at least, you know, what comes out of my mouth, clean. But yeah, so it's like, yeah, but you know, I'm gonna be polite for the TV, but you know, you can go do something to yourself. Balance ton quoi, balance ton quoi, balance ton quoi. Un jour peut-être changera. Un jour peut-être ça changera. Yeah, again, a day, maybe that will change. Il y a plus de respect dans la rue. Il y a plus de respect dans la rue. It says, okay, so anytime someone says il y a, that means they're leaving off the first word, which is il y a. Il y a means there is. So anytime in spoken French, when you're writing it, it would be il y a. But then when you're speaking it, sometimes people, like I was saying, things get dropped off. People say iya, So basically she's saying there is more than respect in the street. And so a day maybe that will change. There's more respect in the street. Je sais très bien qu'on t'abuse. I know very well when you abuse. So it's like saying like I'm not stupid. I know that you're like you're not necessarily like abusing. I know that the word translates to abuse, that you're abusing, but it means like, I it's like I know very well that what you're doing is not nice. You're not being nice to me. We'll just keep it at that. Yeah, I know very well that when you're abusing me or when you're taking advantage of me. So another way of saying it. Balance ton quoi. Okay, and then it goes into it again where it says laisse-moi te chanter, d'aller te faire, and so on and so forth. So basically this song is very straightforward. I chose this song again because again it is Women's History Month, and then also International Women's Day was this past week, or it will be the past week by the time you see this. But really and truly is that women do deserve respect. We're in a different world now where women are not seen as objects of desire, or or at least we have our own minds, we have our own sense of independence. And I think that when Angèle came out with this song, I loved it because not only because it's also like the music video is so kind of like funny and silly, it's entertaining, but it's like, hey, I'm really calling you out. Hey, like where she says, je sais très bien qu'on t'abuse. I'm not stupid. I know when you're abusing me. Balance ton quoi. You better watch yourself. So basically, like, in terms of like what she's saying, un jour peut-être ça changera. Il y a plus de respect dans la rue. It's like there will be respect in the streets. Things are changing now. So, and again, Angèle, she herself is a big advocate for feminism. So, and I know that because again, following her on Instagram, and then the type of music that she comes out with. It's very much people focused, in terms of social issues. And I've even watched like interviews about her where she talks about these issues. Basically, like, I mean, again, like I just said, I can't really stress this enough. And as a woman, I really love this song because it's like, yeah, I mean, as a person who is a woman, like, I don't like the idea. I mean, to be honest with you, when she talks about, like the fact is, when she says, j'ai vu que le rap est à la mode et qu'il marche mieux quand il est ça. Like, I get it. Like, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really listen to a lot of rap, especially like, I think they call it like gangster rap or something like that. I know that there's rap that's good. Like, when you look at like 90s rap, like I love that because like a lot, that was like when it started emerging and it was more about, talking about like real issues, when you're looking at like Dr. Dre and Ice Cube, when they were first coming out, like talking about like real issues, and then obviously like over time it's evolved into talking about like sex, money, and drugs, and that's not really. And over time women have kind of put up with it because I was talking to my roommate a while back, before I moved. And she was telling me how, she said, she just turned 30, and she just said, she's like, when I was growing up, I always wanted to be a video honey, but then I like am older, she's like, and now I'm like, no, I'm better off. Because the thing is that like those types of, like the idea of like a video honey, like where like back then, or like at least in the early parts, and I think they still do that today in rap music, where they have like women who are shown looking very promiscuous, and they're just kind of just seen, but they're not really heard. And it's kind of like a little demeaning because women are intelligent, we have brains, we have, we can do things, we have a Madam Vice President who is, I believe, is more than competent to do the job. You have political leaders out there in the world who are women. We are smarter than you think we are. We may look pretty, and we may, and we may be able, be the only, the ones that are carrying on the population, because, we have to carry, we do have to carry the population, because we're the ones that are carrying babies. But at the same time, we're more than just baby carrying, like mothers, we have, we have, the abilities to do just as much as, our male counterparts are able to do. And it's basically about equality. It's like, hey, like, we just want to be treated like human beings. So I hope that this really helped you guys learn French and also just talk about some social issues as well, you know, with it being Women's History Month and just in general. I love doing this, like I said, because I learned so much, because again, as fluent as I am in French, I realize that like there's still so much that I don't know because language is constantly changing. And you know, I still, because for me, like, even though like I'm in the United States, I live here, I still try to make sure that language is a part of my life every day, because that's what kind of basically is allowing me to do these types of things where I'm teaching and I'm, you know, analyzing and things like that. So, and I still try to make sure I'm connected to my friends abroad and whatnot. So I really hope this is very helpful for you, and I hope this you know, these some of the cultural insights will kind of give you a different perspective of like, you know, the fact that, you know, and also, by the way, Angèle is actually Belgian. So this, I mean, not to say that French is actually, because, and I have a friend who's from Belgium. So their French is not like their accents are not very much different than France. There are some words or some things that they use that are a little bit different than in France. Like, for example, I know that like when we say like when it's raining, we'll say il pleut, which means like it's raining. But then like for them, they'll say like il drache, which basically same thing. It's raining. But like Belgium, they just have different words. Like for example, when we say things like 88, which basically means 80. Oh no, 88. No, yeah, 88. You know, for example, I'm in my mind, I'm thinking of that like Catherine and Lompal song, because I have that stuck in my head. Yeah, the song is called 88%. But yeah, 80, which basically means 80, but it's like 4 times 20. So like in French, we're doing math, but Belgium, they're like, that's stupid. Let's just make 80. 90, because in French, it's like 90, like 4 times 20 plus 10, so that's 90. So like 90, like it doesn't make sense. Or like, you know, like when we get to 70, it's 70, which means 60 plus 10, which is 60. Yeah, 60 plus 10, 60, 10. And they're like, no, 70. My friend actually corrected me on that because we were talking about this. He's like, oh, you know, oh, 70. He's like, yeah, in French they say that, but like for us in Belgium we say 70. It's just easy. C'est plus facile. Yeah, it's easier, which makes total sense. So yeah, so just kind of like, just as a little note, in terms of like Belgium versus France, their accents aren't really that much different, and they pretty much can understand each other. It's just sometimes every French-speaking country or province, they might have their own, you know, slang. They may have their own spin on their. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like even in English, you know, even though like England is technically like where English originated, every country speaks English differently. Like our slang is so much different than, you know, we're not obligated to speak the same way as England because we are in a different region, you know, we're in a different area or geographical location. And sometimes as human beings spread out, that's how languages form, is they spread out and then they develop their own culture and their own way of speaking. So again, I hope that was helpful too. But yeah, so I encourage you to watch this music video. I encourage you to watch some of her, listen to some of her other music. If you go to our website, languageandpeople.com/music, you can also check out our Spotify playlist of recommendations, and I have so many of hers. And she does a lot that deal with like her one of her albums, Brol. She basically covers a lot of topics that involve like self-image and obviously feminism and just kind of like imperfections and just humanity in general. So if you just really want to like listen to music from someone who's just like has like a very like humanistic, very open, just kind of like a screw it, I'm being myself, I don't give a crap if anyone else thinks, you know, what everyone thinks, then like I would definitely listen to her music. Yeah, so I'll talk to you guys later, and I'll see you guys in the next month with this series.